Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Indie Insights for this Monday. I hope everyone's drying off, and it's quite topical that we're going to be talking all things Weatherzone after the weather that we've had, I think, across most of Australia over the last week. I'd like to introduce Mark Wooldridge, who's the commercial director of Weatherzone. I do want to point out that Mark is not personally responsible for the weather, although he likes to think so. Now, Mark is from Weatherzone, and today we're going to talk all things about how to use local targeting on a national scale. So, as we know, targeting is nothing without mass, and these guys have got some pretty interesting and compelling data when it comes to location data. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Mark Wooldridge to lead the presentation. Over to you, Marcus.
Thanks a lot, Sam, and obviously thanks to the IMAA for having us and allowing us to kind of come in and have a chat to you about the insights that we kind of get through the platform and how we can use the platform to help indies reach these audiences. Some of you may have met myself and my team and been brave enough to come and present your own weather show at the Who's Who in the Media Zoo. So maybe a few of you will know a little bit about us and what we do. I'm not going to give you a kind of history lesson on the company. Suffice to say, we are Australia's biggest private weather network. So all of the weather data that we have is our own. It's not repurposed. We have some partnerships with the Bureau where we share data with them and they share data with us. But in terms of our forecast data, that's all through our proprietary platforms. But essentially, we're helping Australian people every day plan their lives. And just a bit of a recap, really, in terms of the amount of people that we reach across Australia. So we hit about 2 million unique users daily. That's across our app and across desktop and mobile web. It's split really quite evenly between kind of metro and regional areas. And that's really the bit I think that we're concentrating on today. It's around how we reach those more kind of people on a more local and a more personal level by using our kind of weather data, as it's something that affects people's everyday lives. The stat probably to focus on here is the 7.6 million location records. So the advantage that I guess we have in being able to collect kind of data and insight in terms of where people are is that we're a really clear and clean value exchange for our users. So our users will either opt in to us locating them. So we have about an 80% opt-in rate in terms of the people that have opted in for location services. And the other 19% will tell us where they are on an ad hoc basis. So they'll be searching for the weather and they will enlighten us with their location data. So across all time, we've got 7.6 million location records. And just to take you through the kind of, I guess, handful of rich data partnerships that we have to make this data kind of really stand out, because actually knowing where someone is can contribute a lot to what you can put together from an audience point of view. So we work with, I'm just going to really buzz through this bit because it's part of our media deck, is we work with a technology company called Landmarks ID. So we have their SDK installed, which means that we couple up that kind of really precise lat-long data with proximity pings on retail positions, quick service restaurants, car dealerships, all that kind of stuff, and also coupling up the apps that people have on their phone. And we also have a second-party data partnership with Seven, where we match up our users with logged in 7+ users. Because obviously what people don't do is they tell us where they are in a weather app, but they don't necessarily tell us, they don't have to log in. So they don't tell us anything about themselves per se. In terms of, I guess what we're talking to you today about location is it's with a lot of the clients that we're talking about, it's a bit of a kind of hot topic if you want some in terms of accuracy. So we're speaking to quite a few clients at the moment where actually just standard ad serving and geolocation is just not accurate enough. Whether it's putting a specific offer into market in a specific state or postcode, or whether it's just simply it's a compliance issue. Just kind of geo targeting across an ad server is always often just not accurate enough. Whereas where our location data actually comes through the body of the app, it comes through us delivering weather information to a precise target, to a precise place, and that comes back through the ad request. And that's for 80% of our users. So we can start to identify not only where people are at a certain point, but we also use our partnership with landmarks to determine whether or not that is a home location, whether or not that location has been picked up more than, say, 3-4 times in a week, whether or not it's during office hours, outside of office hours. There's a plethora of different things that we can put together to make that audience piece a lot richer. In terms of our weather data, I mean, as you can probably imagine, we can pretty much target by most weather variable that you can think of. We've got some presets around in terms of rainy, sunny, windy, stormy, but through to, you can target 31 degrees, and that is in conjunction with the location targeting. So I've got some examples for you where we've worked with some brands to really kind of make those marketing messages sing in terms of locating where people are and delivering the correct message. So one thing I think that is important to go through with you guys from a kind of independent point of view is how that actually breaks down at state level, because we're a national brand. We've been delivering the weather for 20 years to millions of people across Australia. But the way that I think that we break it down across the state can be really important, especially with how we work with some government clients. I mean, we work with national brands, but we've tried to kind of bring this back to brands that are from independent agencies or they work with us directly, so that it's not just about where we've worked with any other kind of clients across Australia. So in terms of New South Wales, that's around 35% of our national users, 2.8 million unique users monthly. And in terms of being able to reach those users, and this isn't just at a state level, but we can operate at a postcode level better than Google Ad Manager can. So we can start to pick out really quite specific targets. And for something like Northern Territory, what we can do is we will pick people who are located in Sydney, but they might be looking at the weather elsewhere. So they might actually be looking at whether or not they might be looking at what the weather might be like in the Northern Territories, so that we know that they're looking to plan a trip. In terms of our Victorian breakdown, 29% of our national users are reside in Victoria. We work with some kind of governments and retailers, literally down to 3 postcodes and a weather condition, or 3 postcodes and a gender and an age, and it makes it really quite specific in terms of how we can reach these people. Bunnings work with us from a direct point of view, and I think this is a really nice one to showcase to you guys, because they are obviously a national brand, but the way that they work with us is really kind of well thought out and really unique, as they work with us on a national level, but they break down each individual territory. Once they break down the individual territory, they then take some cultural and commonsensical approaches to what feels hot or cold in Queensland, or what feels hot and cold in Tasmania, and to the user that answer is quite different. Obviously if you're in Queensland, you aren't necessarily kind of reaching for the air cons when it gets to 30, but you may well be if you're in another part of Australia. So it's just around delivering that kind of right message at the right time. But it's also not just the location coupled with what the weather's like right now. It's actually the threat of weather is something which drives engagement too. So we target kind of up to 6 days out for advertisers to be able to capitalize on how that weather is going to make somebody feel in their location. And moving on, so this is still a Bunnings examples, seeing as Queensland is part of the targeting. Apologies, I should have just put the slide forward last time. But again, looking at forecast data to identify users in their location in real time against how the weather's making them feel. We do that through high impact placements. So in terms of working with indies, it provides really good national cut through with local targeting. It's a platform where you can reach 1.5 million users a day, and you can capture their entire attention for one day without any other brands submitting any interference. So there's some examples here in terms of kind of who we've worked for or worked with. And one of them is obviously thanks to Half Dome for kind of taking us through some of their results and allowing us to kind of talk about one of their campaigns specifically. So a retail client of Half Dome's that we've been working with for the past kind of 18 months to 2 years. They engage with us to kind of start to drive awareness and mass reach across sale events and across times. So things like Easter Sunday, Boxing Day, Black Friday. But in terms of cut through, the Eclipse unit has been one of the strongest performing traffic drivers amongst the high impact partners that they've been using, especially for Black Friday in 2023, generating a click-through rate 3 times higher than any other partners. We also have a new ad unit, and this is a really exciting one for us, as it's a unit that is highly engaging, but it utilizes all of our data technologies too. So Flight Centre were the first client to use our new swipe up ad unit. So it comes through an anchored banner at the bottom of every single page across the app, and it can be interacted with and swiped up. But the results were really quite astonishing. So over half of the users tapped into the hero after viewing, and for the first campaign over a 10-day burst, we saw a CTR of 1.5%, which, coming out of one of our kind of standard high impact units, is really high and really encouraging. And the CTR was higher than some of our sponsorship creative across the site. So really exciting times, and that's just launched. That's launched literally in the last kind of 4 to 6 weeks. And as I say, booked by an independent agency for Flight Centre. So really nice work. In terms of the high impact units that we use and we pull that data through are direct buys. So it's where we've been working with you guys from a direct perspective, but we have also been doing a bit of tweaking back end in terms of programmatic. So we operate open exchange inventory. We have access to kind of all demand sources. We're totally kind of DSP agnostic. However, what we're realizing is that there's a real opportunity with clients who are working with us from an open auction basis, but without any targeting. So any of the targeting that we've just taken you through, so the real-time location targeting, the weather targeting, anything to do with building the audiences through age or through gender, that is available through programmatic channels. We just have to set some deals up for you guys. So we've got a member of my team who's the programmatic lead, Jasmine, who will be on this call, and she's going to be available to take you guys through how we can start to set up deals and how we can actually make the programmatic side of the offering work seamlessly through the direct deals. So not just having a kind of spray and pray approach when you've got a targeted approach with direct high impact. In terms of being able to do that, this is something which, as I say, we can set up some individual time to go through some of these parameters, but it's really simple to do. So that's across app, it's across desktop, and it's across mobile web. App is where we get the big influx of kind of daily users, and as Sam kind of alluded to, or not alluded to, kind of directly said earlier in the meeting, like people check it all the time. It's whether or not, you know, they want to go and check if they can put their washing out this afternoon. And our engagement grows by 4, 5, 6 times sometimes when we get weather like this. And we're just awaiting our data coming from from over the weekend. And I would suspect our engagement has gone through the roof. Okay, and that's everything. So there was a question slide which seems to have bumped off, but that's everything from me. I'd like to just open it up for any questions.
Guys, are there any questions? And so often there isn't, but I'll just leave it open for a few more minutes. That spike in activity that you would see is probably from me over the past few days. Looks like we haven't got any questions. So guys, we will connect you with Mark and the team if anyone has any questions. Thank you so much, Marcus, for your support of the IMAA and keeping us moving. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And if there are any questions, please reach out and we can connect you to Mark. And have a great day, everyone. Talk to you soon. Fill out the census, please.
Of course, I'll do it right now.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye. See you guys.